స్వరూపులారా, ది బెస్ట్ వే టు లవ్ గాడ్ ఈజ్ టు లవ్ ఆల్, సర్వ్ ఆల్. మనం అందరినీ ప్రేమించాలి, అందరినీ సేవించాలి. మనం సేవించడం కోసమని పుట్టాము. ఈ సర్వీసులో మనం ప్రయాణమైనప్పుడే మానవత్వం అనేటువంటిది సార్థకమవుతుంది.
Om Shri Saira. My humble pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet and loving Saira to all of you. Let us begin today's session with 3 Omkarams. Sairam, life, as Swami reminds us, is not without its challenges. But challenges are not obstacles. They are opportunities to grow, to strengthen our faith, and to deepen our connection with the divine. With Bhagwan's blessings, the Shri Sathya Sai Seva organization, Delhi-NCR, presents Life is a Challenge, Meet It, a monthly study circle dedicated to exploring Swami's teachings and applying them in our daily lives. A 9-episode series held on the 23rd of every month until October, each session is a step towards transforming life's challenges into spiritual milestones. In our first session, held last month on the 23rd of February, we reflected on the importance of living in the present moment, practicing acceptance and gratitude, and cultivating mindfulness by focusing on the now. We now explored how dismantling thoughts and desires can dissolve mental distractions, helping us unlock the inner strength and peace that lies within us. And as we embark on this journey, we invite you all to join the conversation, share your thoughts and questions on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter using the links provided in the YouTube comment section. As we continue the sacred journey in the centenary year of our beloved Swami, let us open our hearts to the wisdom and strength that each session brings. Now, it is my privilege to invite our esteemed speakers for today's session, who are also the revered voices of the Prashanti Bhajan Group. Our first speaker for today's session is Shri S. Ravi Kumar. Born in Chennai and having had his early childhood at Madikeri, Karnataka, Shri S. Ravi Kumar joined the Shri Sathya Sai Vidya Vihar in Ooty in 1978 at the age of 7. He has a Bachelor in Commerce and an MBA from Shri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning and was awarded the All-Rounder Gold Medal for proficiency in an array of fields including academia, sports, cultural, and spiritual activities. Upon graduating with his MBA in 1993, Shri S. Ravi Kumar was permitted by Bhagwan to join the Shri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Medical Sciences in Puttaparthi, where he continues to work as a senior manager of the Departments of Radiology and Urology. The second speaker for today is Dr. Amey Deshpande. Dr. Amey Deshpande studied at Shri Sathya Sai Primary School, Prashanti Bhajan, and earned a bachelor's degree in commerce from Bangalore University. He pursued chartered accountancy and briefly worked with Hewlett-Packard while being an active member of the Vrindavan Bhajan Group and Seva. Later, he joined the MBA program at the Shri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, followed by an MPhil and then PhD in corporate strategy. Since 2017, Dr. Amey has been a resident fellow at the Shri Sathya Sai Center for Human Values in Prashanti Bhajan. The moderator for today's event, Shri Vikas Bagri, is an alumnus of Shri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Puttaparthi, and currently serves with the Government of India. After earning his MBA from Puttaparthi, he began his professional journey with the National Knowledge Commission, an advisory body to the Prime Minister of India. Over the years, he has held key roles at several esteemed institutions, including the advisor to the Prime Minister's office, the National Innovation Council, and MIT Media Labs, USA. An entrepreneur at heart, he co-founded Positive Gifts, a venture dedicated to spreading positivity, inspiration, and Bhagwan's message of human values through thoughtfully designed products and gifts. I now hand it over to Brother Vikas Bagri to take it forward from here.
Thank you. Offering my humble pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Sairam and a warm welcome to all of you. We are back today with the second episode of Life is a Challenge Meet It, a journey of introspection and practical wisdom guided by Bhagwan's teachings. In today's fast-paced world, where distractions are endless and our minds are constantly pulled in multiple directions, the ability to live in the present has become one of the greatest challenges of our times. Think about it. How often do we find ourselves regretting the past? We replay old mistakes, relive painful moments, wishing things were different. How often do we find ourselves worrying about the future, anxious about what's to come, planning endlessly, and still never feeling prepared? We are always multitasking excessively, juggling so many things that we never fully engage in any one of them. And we are always seeking happiness in external things, believing that a vacation, the next promotion, or some material possession will finally bring us that everlasting joy, only to find it fleeting. Last month, we explored this theme with All India President Shri Nimish Pandya and Delhi State President Shri L.V.M. Kishore. And today, we have with us two incredible speakers, individuals who have dedicated their lives to immersing in Swami's message, not just in words, but in action. Brother Ravi Kumar and Brother Amey are deeply connected with Bhagwan's mission through music, education, and selfless service. And their experiences will offer us a unique lens on how we can internalize Swami's teachings in our daily lives. Let's get started today, brothers. In your own style, let's hear some verses of a bhajan which will put this in context. And let's then get into some question answers. Over to you, brothers, and welcome you again.
Sairam to all of you. It is our pleasure and it is our blessing to be part of this session. It is a very unique session compared to the ones that we normally attend. And life is a challenge. Every moment of life is a challenge for all of us, admittedly. And we have to meet it by living in the present. So how do we meet it? By living every moment in the present. So let us start with a bhajan, which is a prayer to Swami, and then we'll move on from there. राधे गोविंद बोल तो मुख से, राधे गोविंद बोल तो मुख से, बोल तो साई राम, बोल तो साई राम, जय बोलो साई राम, जय बोलो साई राम। पल पल जीवन बीतो जाए, पल पल जीवन बीतो जाए, बोल हरि का नाम, जय बोलो साई राम, जय बोलो साई राम।
What a beautiful start, brother. Thank you so much. While I think you have answered now all the questions that were to come, Bolo Hari ka naam in that palpal, and that's the moral of the story. But let's just, for all of us, like Swami used to give us these beautiful one-liners in his discourses. And even after listening to hundreds of his discourses, we are still learning, right? So let's use this opportunity to go more deeper, especially based on your experiences and what you've personally learned from Swami. Let's get started by understanding this word living in the present. What does it mean to you to be living in the present? And why do you think it's becoming so important in today's times?
As Swami has so often said in his discourses, that we must live in the present, because Swami says the past is past, the future is uncertain, and what we have today is the present, which is truly a present, which is a gift for all of us. And Swami says the present is not an ordinary present, but the present is omnipresent. And omnipresence means something that is present in the past, in the present, and in the future. In all the time zones that we know of, this presence is felt throughout. So the present moment, he says, is a composite of all the three time zones that we know of. And while Swami says that the present is an omnipresent, he gives the example of a seed. As beautifully as Swami can, he says the present is like a seed which has had its past as a tree, as a fruit. From the fruit, this seed has come, and that is its present condition. And this seed will tomorrow become another big tree. So this seed will become another big tree tomorrow. But what we need to do today is to take care of the seed. If the seed, what all if it does is think about the sweet fruit that it was in the past, or to think about what kind of a tree it would become in the future. Will I have stunted growth? Will I be a large tree like I was? If it gets lost in that and not nourish itself in the present, it is going to lose whatever power it inherently has within it. So what it has to basically worry about is today, am I having the right soil around me today? Am I being watered? Do I have shade? Do I have enough sunlight? These are the things necessary for me to grow in life. So if the seed basically has to worry about this and not about the past and the future, because worrying about that will make sure that it doesn't do anything about its present. So that is how important this present, which Swami calls the omnipresent, is.
And in fact, if you look at it, that is the only thing we can do, isn't it? At the moment, if we can do something, it is only about this present moment, looking after the seed that we are. There is another way of looking at living in the moment. And I think Swami has oftentimes, used the word upeksha and anapeksha, right? He says, quoting the beautiful verse of anapeksha suchir daksha from Bhagavad Gita, he says, living a life without expectations. When there's no apeksha, that becomes anapeksha, right? So how do we live a life without expectations? For example, one of the ways we can live without expectation is to be prepared at all times. We can give this example of many years back there was a singer who was desperately trying to get into the bhajan group, the Prashanti Bhajan Group, and wonderful singer, very talented singer. And as time would have it, we would ask him every audition, we would say, learn some more bhajans, brother, learn some more bhajans. Eventually, he learned enough bhajans and he joined the bhajan group. Now, it so happened that one day, every day he would sing a particular bhajan. But one day, there was some program going on and not enough singers had landed up in time. The program gets over and our coordinator turns back and says, come on, next bhajan, are you ready? Sing. And now this brother, he's been waiting for this opportunity, to sing bhajan. He looks dumbfounded. He says, I'm sorry, I'm not prepared. You see, life will knock, opportunities like life, knock like that on our door of life. What we have to do is, if we want to hold on to those opportunities, we have to be prepared, right? We cannot look back at life and say that, oh, if only you would have told me, set an alarm or, given me an appointment, etc., I would have been prepared. So to live a life without expectation is to live a life of practice and of preparation. So that is another thing that comes to mind.
Right. And just taking this topic a little further, going ahead from expectation, another I can say a flavor of this word is to be equanimous. So if we can maintain equanimity, which Swami says is the sign of a devotee that he expects. If we can be equanimous, irrespective of what comes to us at that particular moment, that is what will help us to be in the moment. If we expected something to happen and it doesn't happen, that is when we would get dejected. So being equanimous, this episode comes to mind. So in my when we were in our first MBA, and by end of first MBA, Swami had told all of us that he expects us to study well. Like Swami would say, you are a student, so you should study well. So yes, everyone started studying well. In my third semester of MBA, one day after the third semester got over, I was sitting in the bhajan hall, and Swami came to the bhajan hall door and called me out. He said, Ravi, come outside. And there was this so-called guest portico right in front of Swami's interview room door.
Where like the vice chancellor and the registrar and all the senior functionaries of the mandir would sit.
Yes. And even if sometimes if the governors and the chief ministers would come, even they would be seated there. So it was that corridor filled with such people. Swami called me out, and in front of all of them, he said, good boy, studies very well. Take Padnamaskar, he told me. And he gave me a Padnamaskar in front of everyone and asked me to go back and sit. And this got me pondering because I had got only an A grade in that semester. Okay, and Swami would typically expect all his students to get an O grade, which was the highest grade. I had got the A grade, the second best grade. He said, you did very well, take Padnamaskar. So this got me thinking. And I said, okay, for an A grade, if I got a Padnamaskar on the so-called VIP portico, if I study hard and I get an O grade, I don't know what Swami may give me. So I did study a little harder. And in the last semester of MBA, I managed to get an O grade. And after the semester had got over, Swami one day went up to the first floor of Mandir. He was standing on the balcony. The entire hostel was standing down. There were about 400 boys standing down. And I was at the end. And Swami was, throwing some little gifts to the boys. That's what he would do before the vacation would start. Some calculators, some pen torch, some small gifts of love. And he suddenly looked at me. He saw me at the end of the whole crowd and said, Ravi, from the balcony. And this was my moment, I thought, so this is my O grade moment.
O grade moment.
O grade moment. So everybody parted ways, and because Swami is calling me, and I went right in front and stood. Now this is a bigger crowd than the A grade crowd that I had, right? So this is a big crowd. And I looked up very expectantly at Swami.
And probably you can imagine it's in front of the entire so-called Kulwant hall.
Yeah.
Quite intimidating.
Yes. And when I looked up expectantly at Swami with a smile, he looked at me like this and said, bad boy.
Oh God.
And my heart sank. And then he obviously told me to go back to my place, which was at the end of the crowd. And I went there, and it got me thinking, right? See, so Swami doesn't give you anything before, without you learning a lesson from that. So it was that when I didn't, in my eyes, when I didn't so-called deserve it, Swami gave me a gift. When I thought I deserved it, Swami, in fact, gave me the other side of whatever is an antonym of a gift. So that is what happened to me. But Swami taught me that whether it is through that, do not feel too elated because I have given you something when you felt you didn't deserve. At the same time, do not feel dejected that you did not get something when you thought you deserved it. But the learning from that was at that moment, what was right or what was wrong. So for me, individually, it was a learning that in my final semester, having gone through, given a little more importance to my academics, I had given less importance to what probably Swami expected from me, which was in music and in drama. I had opted out from a couple of occasions just because I wanted to study better. That is something that Swami didn't want. But the lesson from this was, whether you get, this or that from me, be equanimous at that moment, right?
In fact, all the challenges that we get in life keep training us, to move towards equanimity. And like Swami's always said that happiness and sadness, pain and pleasure, they come in, they're cyclic. They come one after the other. And I think it's all an exercise in sort of training us to reach that equanimity.
Absolutely.
It then enables us to live in the present.
Yes, one is to wait for those moments to, kind of get, trained. But then why wait for, events to teach you that? What Swami wants us to do is to be prepared to face that, rather than learning it the difficult way. And sometimes, yes, equanimity is the outcome of almost all the situations, but then it can be pretty hurtful. It can be pretty destroying before you get to that place of equanimity.
Yeah.
Swami is now actually flipping the entire thing by saying that don't wait for those things, right? If you are able to consider that whatever is happening is for my good, and this is the other point that we were trying to say is, if we believe that Swami knows what is right for us, if we have that trust and faith in Bhagwan, right? Or I've coined this word. It's not a great coinage, but I call it Swami knows. The formula is like Domino's, right? The formula is Swami knows, right? So one of the things that I continuously keep telling myself is Swami knows, Swami knows, Swami knows, right? Whatever is happening, whoever is coming into our lives, whether we like that person, situation, that object, if we have that complete faith that Swami knows what is happening, that automatically helps build that, that equanimity. And Swami himself, in fact, once, while speaking to an outgoing batch of MBA boys, they all had got an interview. And one of the brothers asked Swami, what would be your parting message to us? We are now going to leave the portals of this institute. Swami, what would be that one thing that you could tell us? And, Swami's beautiful answer, just like a friend, he says, I will tell you something that I follow in my own life. Can you imagine that Bhagavan is telling, I will tell you something that I follow in my own life? And obviously all the ears are perked. I'm sure even your ears are perked. Swami said, I tell myself every day, okay, whatever is happening with me is good for me. Imagine, Bhagavan doesn't need to tell that, right? That he tells it to himself, but it is probably the best, way to live life, that whatever is happening to me is the best thing that can happen to me. And that is what even Bhagavan Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he says, this is called prasada buddhi. That is to take everything as divine prasadam. When we go to a temple and that when the prasadam comes and falls into our hand, whether it is a prasadam that we like or not, we accept it, right? We don't say, oh, this prasadam I don't want. We don't let go of the prasadam. Why? Because it is prasadam. It could be one of the items which I don't like at all, but even then I take it and I do this and I accept it. Can we now consider every event, situation that is happening in our life, as a prasadam? So I would say that would be living in the present, to accept everything as his present, his gift to us.
Very true.
Absolutely.
Just by with the Swami knows, without his knowledge, prasadam is something we accept from the deity.
Exactly.
So everything is from him. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I just have one thing to add, specifically with regard to a bhajan session. How to be living in the present in a bhajan session. Because Swami tells us what is the whole idea of participating in a bhajan session. We have various reasons, as in some people want peace, so they come there. Some people want to converse with Swami. Some people love music. Whatever your reasons are for coming for a bhajan session, the primary reason is to connect with Swami. That is the whole idea of a bhajan session, because it is one of the sadhanas where we are trying to converse with our Lord, where we are trying to connect our heart with Him. So in my 11th standard, I had just then, when Shyam was playing tabla, I had just started playing khanjira in the bhajan group. And the khanjira was being passed on to me a little more than usual. So then as a youngster, you start experimenting with beats. And then, so that's what I was doing. So one day Swami called a family, called my mother and father and me for an interview. And there he asked my parents, so how is Ravi? And they said, Swami, he's your child. He's with you. You know better than us how he is. So then it was almost parents were asking him, so how is Ravi? And Swami said, he's a good boy only, but, and then you get very tense when Swami says, but you don't know what he's going to tell your parents, right? Because you think they're far away and we are safe in the hostel. He said, but he's more interested during a bhajan session, he's more interested in the khanjira than on me. And it really struck me very strong at that moment, saying, why am I sitting? Swami has given us a privilege. The bhajan group especially gets a privilege of sitting in front of Swami wherever we are, whichever samiti we are. That is a huge privilege and a blessing. And instead of concentrating or looking at Swami in those days physically, looking at him, concentrating, we are looking at the other peripheral things. So that is a very strong lesson, that at that moment, during a bhajan, your focus has to be Swami. And that is where the thing about what Amey said about practice. If you have practiced earlier, we are not concentrating on the other things during a bhajan, so that we can concentrate only on Swami in that moment.
Brothers, personally, how have things changed for you? When Swami's loving form used to sit there, right in front in the chair. And now he's formless and he's available to us everywhere. Personally, when you sing bhajans, how has it changed for you, and how do has anything changed for you?
I think that's the better way of putting it. Has anything changed? Isn't that the $1 million question? I would just like to kind of start off this point by saying that everything has changed and nothing has changed. Yes, there is nothing comparable to seeing him sitting probably like the way he's sitting right behind over here on this chair, and putting the talam, and the entire focus is on how he's putting the talam, how he's enjoying the bhajans. But isn't that the most beautiful thing that he gave to us? You see, one of the beautiful things that I have read in the gospel, in fact, the gospel of Shri Ramakrishna, and it is so relevant to all we Sai devotees, was, Swami Brahmananda, who was the direct disciple of Ramakrishna, was once asked, he is God, Ramakrishna is God for them, and you have experienced him. Now, what sadhana do you have to do? And, Swami Brahmananda very beautifully says, what he gave to us, now we are trying to make it our own. Out of his divine compassion, he gave us something. Now we have to make it our own. And that is what we are now doing here in Prashanti Nilayam, trying to make that experience our own. Out of his munificence, his magnanimity, he came and he gave us his beautiful form. He gave us what it means to see him enjoying bhajans. And the most beautiful thing is all of that is recorded in posterity, in videos, in pictures. Now we have to make it our own. And in fact, that is what I think our endeavor is while we sit there for bhajans, is to how do we enjoy the Swami within our hearts.
Yes. And personally speaking, it is about this, the message that I have received from the Kavali that Swami has asked me to sing a few times. The beginning alap of it goes, मोहब्बत की कमी अगर दिल में एहसास होता है तो जरा झांको तो पाओगे कि साई पास होता है. That is the meaning of it. And we have all been singing this Kavali. It's like a bhajan which all of us have sung. And we have been singing it from 1989 February. So can you imagine, from then onwards, almost every year for several years we have sung it. Why was Swami asking for that, saying, "Zara jhanko te, are zara samne dekho to paoge ki sai paas hota hai." It was like that.
It should have been like that.
It should have been like that. But Swami insisted on continuously singing "Zara jhanko to paoge," because that was what he was driving home every day, and that has been the take home message from 2011 for all of us.
In fact, such a beautiful thing that you have brought up. The first line is also Sai bina rahana jaye. Right? We cannot live without Swami. In fact, now flip it over as a corollary. It would be that Sai hai, to ye jahan hai. Ye Sai hai, to ye jeevan hai. Isn't it? So now we should be, in fact, celebrating his presence in our lives.
And like I've heard Amey say this earlier, only his address has changed from Yajura Mandiram to Hridaya Mandiram.
So true. So beautiful, brother. So you very nicely put, earlier you spoke about prasad buddhi, about being equanimity. And like when I started off, I was talking about either a lot of times a mind being in the past or in the future. And mostly worrying, thinking about what should happen, what could have happened, and so on. And when you look at prasad buddhi as something that you can practice, then none of these thoughts will really come to you, because whatever came to you was prasad, whatever is coming to you today is prasad, and whatever will come to you tomorrow is prasad. But still, brothers, why does our mind always move? Why does it keep shunting between the past and future? Why is it always so attracted towards negativity and anxiety and worries? And globally, if you see, especially post-COVID, and I mean, way before that, but during COVID, it kind of became a whole phenomena where people are focusing on their mental health, and depression and loneliness and depression have become global epidemics. So why is it really happening? It's happening at an individual level, and now, it's globally, society is showing huge issues with all these things. And how does one get rid of this really through Swami's message and teachings? What does Swami say, and how does one get rid of this?
So first thing, I think that today, more than any time, it is not that I think it is happening only today and it has never happened before. I think today in an interconnected world, with social media and, as they say, today somebody's business has become everybody's business. That's what social media has done. That, now today one person's life has become, they broadcast their life in every possible way. So I think today it has become more, I would say, more prevalent, or we have got to know more about it. And that's why it looks as if today, is more challenging than, in a sense, I would say that a lot of people say that we have never had this much peace in our lives in the entire history of mankind. In fact, over the last, they say, 1,000 years, imagine almost every society had tremendous wars. There were epidemics which were killing millions of people. There was hunger, there was poverty, there was, war, etc., etc. So I think it is not just a phenomenon today. However, we are in the present, and so let us focus on this. Now, why does it do that? Swami, in fact, explains that is the very property of the mind. No, he says that the mind has only sankalpa and vikalpatkam makam manaha. That is the definition of mana, which is sankalpa and vikalpa. That is thought and counter thought. Sankalpa is thought, vikalpa is counter thought. So the mind cannot do anything other than a thought and counter thought. And most of these are, remember, they are emerging from this repository of our past, impressions, which is called, technically it's called chitta. So chitta is basically the repository of all our past impressions, and from there only all our thoughts are emerging. So definitely the mind has no other job to do other than peep into the future and ponder about the past. So ponder and peek, that's all it does.
Yeah. So while that is the nature of the mind, what are the various methods in which we can tame this mind? As Swami himself has said, Namasmarana is obviously one of the strongest ways in which Swami says it is like the stick, like the pole to which the monkey is tied. So he says it is Namasmarana is like the pole which will hold the monkey. Though the monkey is jumping around, it has only a certain radius to which it can jump around. It can go, and finally it holds on to the stick and to the pole and quietens down. So Namasmarana is definitely one of the ways by which we can quieten the mind. The other question that comes to our mind is, do we have enough faith in Swami? So when we keep saying that, everything is Swami's will, and, we would even discuss about this, we would even speak about it on platforms, we have heard about it so much, but when it actually comes to doing, that is when, at that moment, if like practice, faith in Swami also is a practice, right? If you have had strong faith in Swami, that particular moment, we would have no other thought than Swami knows. That particular faith. So if our faith is strong enough, I think our mind is going to still hold on to that pole and be under control.
Correct. We were discussing about this beautiful prayer of surrender, which we have often seen, in which Swami makes a very beautiful point. He says that oftentimes, when you have literally reached the nadir of your life, there's no more bottom that you can reach. At that time, you cry out, Sahara do Bhagavan, etc., etc. And then I come and I lift you up, right? And now just imagine we are all on his hand and he's slowly lifting us up. As he lifts us, now we find some kind of strength in our life, okay? And then that's when we say, Swami, thank you, Swami, thank you very much. यहाँ से अभी मैं, I will take over. Thank you for bringing me up to this level. And Swami says, don't be foolish. If this hand has brought you from that nadir up to here, it can look after you for the rest of your life. You see, so what we do know is we kind of start having this kind of I feel a business deal with Bhagwan. आप मुझे यहाँ तक लेकर आओ, बाकी का मैं देख लूंगा. As if there is something in our hands at all, right? So I think that would be the lack of faith that we have. Our faith, is like it's like I would say Indian electricity board. It just comes and goes. It comes sometimes in spikes, and sometimes it just goes, and so that Swami says is part-time devotion.
Okay. Right.
Right. Maybe I can quickly share over here what one of our professors said. Swami, why is it that how do we get your full grace? And so he said, he started asking part-time, what is the difference between part-time employee and full-time employee? So he said, Swami, part-time employee ko sirf part-time benefits milte hain. He doesn't get gratuity, they won't get pension, he won't get leave travel allowance, etc., etc. And Swami said, full-time devotee. Swami, full-time devotee gets full-time benefits, not only while working, but working ke baad pension bhi, retirement benefits bhi milta hai. Swami said, that is the difference between a part-time devotee and full-time devotee. So we have to ask ourselves, are we part-time devotees or are we full-time devotees?
And Swami has shown us ways, right? How to get rid of this. Like I said, Namasmarana is one sure short way where he said, if we are focused on him, then we can keep this monkey mind under control.
Yeah.
Swami has said something about being in the omnipresent, right?
Omnipresence, yes.
Like Swami said, the present
it's not an ordinary present, it's an omnipresence, as we started this session with. And so what does it mean is to spend the entire day with God. And like we were discussing, right? Bhajans are in fact the best way to converse with Swami throughout the day, right? So, for example, what bhajan would come to mind? Ideally, we should be starting our day with Omkaram and Suprabhatam.
Right.
But if you find it boring, to start it with Omkaram Suprabhatam, you should not be finding it boring. But, here is a bhajan that can possibly replace that, like something like Ishvaramba Priyatanaya Sai Narayana Sai Narayana Sathya Narayana. So you could start the day with Ishwaramba Priyatanaya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you're progressing through the day, we are talking about that moment in the day. So you are heading out of home, you're going to your office. How do you happily go to office? Even if it is a Monday morning, how will you happily go? Hari Naam gaate chalo, Sai Naam gaate chalo, Madhav Govinda Govinda Madhav Naam gaate chalo.
Yeah, beautiful, right? I'm sure you're taking Bhagwan with you, even in the Delhi traffic, Bangalore traffic, kahin pe bhi ho, us traffic mein bhi Bhagwan aapke saath hai. In fact, you're getting some more time with Swami. You can consider it like that. Now imagine you get to work and it is a really tough day at work. You have tried your best, but your boss is just not happy with you. Your colleagues may be playing some games with you, etc., etc. In such a situation, what can you sing? You can simply say, Sahara do Bhagwan, Mujhe daya karo, Mujhe kripa karo, Mujhe Sanmati do Bhagwan, Sahara do Bhagwan. Of course, the bhajan goes Sada Saath Raho He Bhagwan. So, we can even in a moment of despair, there is a bhajan with which we can take Swami with us. Right? Now the day is over.
Yeah, you prayed for Sahara and Swami has come and given you help because it has reached end of day. Now it is time where you can leave office finally. And through the same traffic, you come home, you're tired, end of the day, and you want to refresh yourself. Right? You want to have a shower, you want to have a wash. And you can say, Hare Hare Gange, हर हर गंगे, हे नट राजा, हे शिव राजा, हर 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 गंगे. And you are refreshed end of the day.
Yes, and this is in fact how beautiful, because Ganga always falls on Shivalingam. Now here, now the corollary is, if Ganga is falling on me, I am Shivalingam because Shiva resides in me. Right? So then our bath does not become bath, it becomes Abhishekam.
Abhishekam.
Right? So, after that, you sit down for dinner, right? And what some beautiful item maybe, made at home. So as you're partaking, once again, gratitude to Swami to have put food on our plates, right? What bhajan can we sing over here? This beautiful bhajan. Jaya Jagadish Hare, Jaya Govinda Hare. Because in the last line, Jaya Devi Bharati Vidyadaini Annapurna Mata Om. So we are giving our gratitude to Mother. Mother, by your grace, today there is food on my plate. I thank you for thee. Right?
Beautiful. Yeah, so once we're done with that, a little bit of office work or homework, and then
Organization work.
Organization work, yes, yes, sir. Late at night, and finally it's time for us to sleep. So it says, no, sleep in peace, for God is awake. And then we want to rest at the beautiful feet of our Lord Sai and sleep with his thoughts. And we sing, Sai Charan Sukhadai Man, Sai Charan Sukhadai Man, Sai Bina Jina Kya Hai, Sai Bina Jina Kya Hai, Sai Charan. Just pray that he becomes part of our sleep, become part of our dream, so that we wake up fresh for another day's Ishwarama Priyatanaya.
Yes. So, this is how we can deal with this mind running here and there, and just bring it back and spend the time with Swami.
What a beautiful expression, brother. Amazing way to keep in the present, to keep with Swami across throughout the day. And like Swami used to say, start the day with love, fill the day with love, spend the day with love, and end the day with love. Such a beautiful way of, filling the day with love by keeping in constant conversation with Swami through bhajans. Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, very beautifully and very simply, you've made it so simple for us to take this lesson and to practice it in a daily basis. I wonder when our fellow devotees in the organization, a lot of times when we go for bhajans, and our mind is on my next turn coming up soon, and who did not really catch the right note, why is the tabla person not doing it right, and so on, right? So I think there's so much for us to learn from really asking and putting our mind into those questions, to really saying, how do we keep conversing with Swami and take every opportunity to converse with Swami, be it at the bhajan session, through those bhajans being sung by yourself or by anybody else, or being at office or anywhere else, But any thoughts, any guidelines for a lot of us who come to bhajans, both as singers and as followers, on how do we make really best use of that 1 hour that we spend during bhajans, and use that opportunity really to stay in the present?
Yes, in fact, if we constantly remember that he is present, number one, and how we would focus on him. In fact, there's this beautiful experience that you were telling about how Swami knows exactly what is going on. If you can share that.
Yeah, when we are talking about Swami's omnipresence, right? So we say that he is there at every bhajan session. He is the head of the family at the dining table. He is the head of the family.
A silent listener at every conversation, an unseen guest at every meeting.
Beautiful. So we say that Swami is all this. And then he shows us, now and then he shows us that these are not mere words. I am there. So this happened many years ago when I was in college. Parents had come here along with my sister, and Swami had called us for an interview. And then while speaking to our family in the interview room, Swami looked a little sternly at my sister and said that when your mother asks you to do something before bhajan, follow mother. You must listen to your mother. He said very specifically, before bhajan, when mother asks you to do something, listen to her. Don't fight with your mother for that. So mother-daughter fights, I think, keep happening. But this was very specific. Before bhajan, when mother told you something, follow. And then my sister was immediately, yes, Swami, I will do. Then I was puzzled. I didn't know because I was here in the hostel and they were coming from a place which is 400 kilometers away from Puttaparthi. So outside, I asked them what happened. So every Saturday we would have bhajans in our house. And it would normally be just the family. If at all, 1 or 2 members extra would come. Otherwise, it was just father, mother, and sister because I was in the hostel. And that Saturday, when it was time for bhajans, everything was set up. Swami's throne was set up, mat was laid, the Khanjira, the bhajan books, everything was put in place. And sister came to sit for bhajan. And my mother told her, "You are not combed your hair, you are not washed your face. Go, do it, and then only come for bhajan." And my sister said, "We are just 3 of us. Just mother, father, and me. That is my sister. 3 of us. Why should I just sit for bhajan and do bhajan?" Mother said, "No. You should go wash." And then they had a little argument. And she went and finally washed her face and came and sat for bhajan. Just after that, 2 days after that, they have traveled to Puttaparthi. And Swami said, when your mother tells you to do something before bhajan, you better listen to her. So it was, it was shocking at the same time. It was like a revelation for all of us, that when you say, when you sit for a bhajan session and you say Swami is at that bhajan session, he verily is at the bhajan session. And I think that is also the matter of the faith we were talking about, right? Whether we are part-time, Swami, not at today's bhajan session, please. Tomorrow's bhajan session, you are present. Today, I will relax. He is present, whether we want him or not. He is at every bhajan session.
Yes, yeah, true. And in fact, if we are able to sit with that kind of, if that kind of attitude, that kind of faith, if we are able to sit for any bhajan session, then automatically it will keep us focused. Also, we keep discussing there are so many ways by which we can be focused on a bhajan session. Number one, we can create a story with a bhajan. Number two, maybe this may sound fatalistic, but if you just believe that this could be my last bhajan session, who knows? Kisne dekha hai, kal ka din kisne dekha hai, right? There are so many beautiful stories from Mahabharata where somebody goes and says, I think it was Bhima or it is Yudhishthira or Karna, I forget who is the character. He says, I've come here, please give me something. And he says, right now I don't have, come back tomorrow. And that beggar starts to laugh. He says, wow, you have won over death. He says, why, what happened? He says, you're saying so confidently, come tomorrow, as if, me and you will be there tomorrow. Right? So it is these kind of things that, we should continuously keep in mind, cherish in mind, because we don't know what is going to happen the next moment. So if you are able to live in that particular moment thinking that, let me make the best use of this opportunity because I don't know what may happen to me in the next, in the next moment. So that could be one more way of.
Yeah. When we go to a bhajan session, I think we must be very clear in our mind and in our heart why we are going for a bhajan session. Like I said, it has to be to focus on Swami, to pray to Swami. So I think we must have a strong conviction that when I'm going for a bhajan session, I'm not going for any frivolous reason. I'm going there because I want to pray to Swami. I think once we hold on to that, and we all need constant reminders. It's not as if somebody has done it for 20 years, they don't need a reminder for the for the next bhajan session. All of us need constant reminders. And that is why I think satsangs are very important. Satsang, not as in these kind of talks alone. It is like the company of people we keep around. So when we keep reminding each other that, see, I think today I was distracted. No, I have to get my mind back. I have to pray to Swami. These are the constant reminders we need to tell us ourselves that this is the reason I'm going to a bhajan session. Once we have that reminder, I think we will be there in the moment with Swami.
Yes, and of course we can do an entire session just on how to be focused, on Swami during bhajans. Once again, we have not, and at least I must confess, we are all work in progress. We have a long, long way to go. But yeah, the constant endeavor is that.
Sure, brothers. So in your work in progress, when circumstances make you angry, upset, or, just take you off the usual, personally, how do you get back? Any practices, any particular ways which you can share with all of us?
Maybe we can start with the bhajan once again, to kind of set the ball rolling.
Sure.
And this in fact also has a beautiful, I would say it has a beautiful message for us on what we can do. It has a technique which is embedded in this. So it's a very beautiful bhajan. Soham soham ध्यान करो सोहम सोहम ध्यान करो सद्गुरु साई ध्यान करो सद्गुरु साई ध्यान करो सोहम सोहम ध्यान करो. So to begin, how do we deal with these external factors? First of all, as Swami would often tell us, hit the pause button. Whenever we want to, it's basically reaction versus response. Reaction is something that, we will do through instinct. We will do through impulse. And that is what should differentiate us from an animal, isn't it? It's an animal which responds, or rather reacts, with impulse and with instinct. But if we believe that we are human beings, and that's why Swami would give us a beautiful mantra. A quick story once again, Swami once told all the students, I am going to give you the most powerful mantra. Okay, and Swami was going to come to the institute auditorium, and everybody, it seems the next day they went and, they put vibhuti marks and they did special because, oh my God, what is this great, mantra that Swami was going to give? And Swami comes to the institute auditorium and the discourse starts. And then, everybody is kind of sitting straight, perked up, waiting for that mantra. And Swami says, I told you yesterday, I'll give you this mantra. Come on, now all of you repeat with me. This is the mantra, and everybody is like ready. And what does Swami say? Swami said, tell yourself, I'm not an animal, I am a man. And there is stunned silence because people are expecting some really complicated Sanskrit shloka, to kind of spring forth. Some, Om, Haim, Hreem, Kleem, this, that, and all. And Swami is simply saying, I am not an animal, I am a man. And then he goes on to say, I am not just a man. This is the greatest mantra, right, that we can do. Once again, the reason why we are saying this is, what Swami is trying to say is, I'm not an animal. Therefore, I cannot behave. I cannot conduct myself with impulse and instinct. Right? So what should differentiate me is pause, slow down. Right? So I would say that, so in fact, that is how he trained us. In many ways, the way Swami trained us was, whatever happens, especially when elders are, many times we have to face situations where we might not think we are wrong. We might be, getting the brunt of, somebody's ire, the elder's ire. Take it with sometimes even Bhagwan himself. It may look like it is unreasonable. Swami is, he's throwing his ire on me. He's disappointed with me. Swami, I did not do that. However, you just take it with a pause because you don't know the overall picture. So I feel this pause, working with a pause in life, okay, not these pause, but PAUSE pause really helps.
Yes, very true. And another thing, when Swami tells us how we must behave with others, Swami would look at the boys, anybody with a face like this, right? Swami will say, why castor oil face? No, if you drink castor oil, the taste would make your face like this. Why castor oil face? Smile. You know, Swami would always tell that the sign of somebody who is advancing spiritually, like if we are to put milestones in our journey in spirituality, one of them is that he will be most of the time, if not all the time, look happy. So Swami wanted us to smile, and a smile solves lots of problems. And this smile, I have personally found that when we encounter certain vehicles on the road, certain three-wheeler vehicles, especially on the roads.
Welcome to Prashant Puttaparthi.
Actually, Puttaparthi can't talk too much about traffic compared to all the cities and places like Delhi and other places around the country, Bangalore maybe. But yeah, but these three-wheelers are the same everywhere. And if anybody, when you're driving, when you're riding, they would think that if they're able to poke their nose into it, their entire body would come through. And that is how they would cut through the traffic. And these are the moments, I would definitely say, what we talk about road rage being one of the huge reasons why a lot of violence happens. In that one instant, if we are able to remind ourselves that just smile at the guy who has cut across. Believe us, it makes a huge difference. Just a huge difference, just a little smile at that person.
I'm sure, in fact, when we have experienced that, when somebody just cuts through and you just smile back at that person, that man knows that he has made a mistake. He also smiles back at you. Oftentimes, we say, "Arey, yeah," we kind of, in that moment, instead just smile back, and he will also smile, and the day goes. In fact, I've seen this happening with even I would say, our brothers and sisters who are not as well endowed as us. Sometimes we find them nagging. They'll come and say, "Sir, sir, please, sir, please, sir." They'll come and ask for something. And I have always noticed, if you smile at them, that's the most, I would say, that's the easiest gift that you can give to them. You don't have to give them money. You don't have to even give them food if you're not in a position. Just give them back a smile. And oftentimes, they also smile back at you and they just go away. They just, walk past. So I think, I would say this is another way in which we can deal with. I think the another way that we can deal with, Swami has given many, many techniques, for this. Oh, I remember, Bhaiya, you told a very beautiful statement about getting into somebody's shoes. If you can tell us that, you can share it with us.
Yeah, they said it is basically empathy, right? So when we don't react immediately. So someone said empathy is you walk in somebody else's shoes for a mile. Yeah, then you will understand that person's pain. That is what it's supposed to be. So they say you walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. So that way you will be 1 mile away from him and you will also have his shoes, they say. So while this is a humorous take on that statement, but that is what empathy basically means, right?
Yes. So can you keep distance, right? We don't have to always, engage with the person who is being, who is uncomfortable. You can always, Swami would say, maintain distance, keep distance. And the another idea of this keeping distance is also any thought which is kind of troubling you, try to keep a distance between you and that thought. For example, this is a beautiful thing that I heard, that they say one person got, he was in frustration, depression. So he goes to his master and he says, Master, मैं बहुत दुखी हूँ. I am very frustrated. And the master says, No, you are not frustrated. Arey, you are to, what is that? You are not, tu dukhi nahi hai, tu Ghanasham hai.
His name is Ghanasham.
His name is Ghanasham. So, tu dukhi kab se ho gaya? Tu Ghanasham hai. Right? And so he says, you are not dukhi, you are not sad, you are Ghanasham. Ghanasham knows the sadness. You are the knower of your sadness. Right? He says, go and contemplate on this. So this man comes back after, week, 2 weeks and says, Master, I have cracked it. Yes, I've overcome it. Now I'm very, very happy. Okay. And the master says, you are not happy. You are the knower of your happiness. Right? So you are always the knower. So the moment, if you are able to keep this, that I am not angry, I am the knower of my anger, that means you're keeping a little distance from that emotion. Usually what happens is we identify with that emotion and then that's when we get carried away. But if you're able to keep a little distance from it, we can see that emotion passing away. And I've personally tried this. There are times when you get absolutely livid. And at that moment, if you just think for a moment, this incident of, I am not angry, I am the knower of my anger, all of a sudden a smile comes on your face. Arey, kya baat hai? No problem hai. Chala jayega. Yes, the moment before I didn't have anger. And there will be a moment when I won't have anger. Why get so involved, so, invested with that emotion?
Right.
So that would be one more thing.
And we'll probably touch upon one last thing in this, how it is called a golden rule, right? So golden rule is do unto others what you expect others to do unto you. So that is what, right? See, if I want to be treated in a particular way by everybody, if I make sure that I treat everybody in the same way, then we have a control over the situation. We will not let anything accelerate. We will not get too angry. We will not, use swear words at anybody. We will not let anger get out of control just by knowing that if the other person reacts to me in the same way, things are going to explode, right? I am going to feel hurt. Things are going to explode out of proportion. So, Swami has shown us in so many ways that you should show empathy. Once again, you should show empathy and feel what the other person is going to feel if you are in that person's place. So this Narayan Seva was going on in the ground here in Puttaparthi, and the students were serving, and there was a little child sitting along with the mother in the ground, and the boys, they're serving the leaves and along with the hot puliodara and that sweet pongal to everybody, including to this little baby. And Swami was walking around there, and Swami saw this and called the boys and said, you think that little baby can eat that sweet pongal and that pulihora that you're serving? So, no, Swami, get milk. So the boys ran, and then they got a cup of milk, and they gave it to the baby. And Swami said, wait, is it boiling hot? Yes, Swami, very hot. Can the child drink a boiling hot glass of milk? No, Swami. Cool it down and give it in a way that the baby can actually drink it. It is such an eye-opener for all of us, saying this is how we should do Seva. We should not do Seva according to
our convenience.
What we would experience if we were in that particular person's place, we should do the same to that person. So by being in another person's shoes and by doing unto others what we would expect them to do to us, I think these are ways in which we can control the situation.
Thank you, brothers. There was a lot of wisdom and things to practice that you've shared for all of us. Before we move towards the conclusion and we wrap up, since this is the exam season, we had got a lot of questions from parents and students on, exams is always synonymous with anxiety and stress. So how in your own student days did you deal, with that, and any pointers for students?
During our student days, I think one thing that Swami had built into the hostel routine, apart from the fact that we would attend classes regularly, which would take care of most of our studying needs. Apart from that, the study hours that was built into it, Swami ensured that if you do something continuously, what are the two words? Intensity
and consistency.
Intensity and consistency. These things were inbuilt into Swami's routine that he had built for the students. So we had to study every night. So in a sense, that took away half of the pressure of the exam. But of course, students have their own exam minds, so that stress would be there. Um, Bhajans. See, not merely because we are part of the Prashanti Bhajan Group, we are saying that bhajans is what will help you calm the mind, remove anxiety. Because this is in fact the story I'll narrate to you about the daughter of one of my classmates. And she was in her 12th standard. She was about to appear for her 12th standard board exam final. And she was a school topper. She had been for the last several years. And her father would try to ask her to attend bhajan sessions for a few months earlier before that. And she would always find an excuse and say, no, dad, I have to study. I have to go for that special class, etc., etc. Never attended bhajans, was not too much into attending bhajan sessions anywhere. And so board exams were a few days away, and she had to maintain the fact that she had to top the stress of the future, right? By living in the future.
Yeah.
The stress of
One is the stress of clearing, but I think the toppers have a special stress that is to maintain that peak, right?
Maintain the peak. So that was really getting to her. And so she approached her father and said, Dad, what am I supposed to do? I'm so stressed. I'm not able to even read how much I normally read. So he only suggested, he said, see, I have tried telling you so many times in the past, try listening to Sai Bhajans. And he says she started from that day and he just left it. He gave her that one piece of advice and he says he left. After 2 or 3 days, he just wanted to know how his daughter is doing. And he found his daughter very quiet, very peaceful, studying very hard with a lot of concentration. He didn't bother to ask her. About a week later, she came and thanked her dad and said, thank you, Dad, for giving me this wonderful recipe, which has really calmed my mind. Even while studying, she would put Sai Bhajans in the background in a low volume, such that, loud volume doesn't distract her. But listening to Sai Bhajans made her calm, less anxious. And yes, she stood first in the school once again.
Yes. In fact, I would say that we are, after bhajans, one of the things that we experience are so many people coming and telling us this, that bhajans really help us concentrate. It keeps our minds, kind of calm and peaceful. And we are able to, so many students come up to us. In fact, I would say that is one of the reasons why the Shri Sathya Sai Higher Secondary School and the primary school over here tops most of the exams in flying colors. There's one other point that I would say about this examination is, and that is the undue pressure, that the parents put. Once again, the student is already going through a lot of pressure. There is no need for additional pressure to be, to be felt by the parents, we would say. So if, they say a family that prays together stays together. So if we can just pray together, I think a lot of these issues, will find its own resolution. There's no one-pointed resolution.
On the lighter side, brother, I remember during our times in the hostel, I'm not sure if it's changed now, but given the lack of communication with the outside world, this extra parental pressure would come only once in a while.
I think the parents really did not have any pressure per se, because they knew that ye banda to Bhagwan ke saath hai, he's with Swami dekh lenge, so they they outsourced their pressure to Bhagwan.
And communication or lack of communication, those days helped as well.
Yes. So it's been a wonderful conversation today, and it doesn't feel that we've gone over an hour. We can just keep talking about this, and it's always so lovely to hear both of you. I would request you to wrap up, maybe a one-liner, two-liner, quick wrap up, last remarks on this topic.
I think we will just like to end it with whatever we know best, which is, a bhajan which kind of wraps up this.
Sure, lovely.
So I would request Bhaiya and all of, let him lead and we will all follow. While we are going through every word of this, let us contemplate on the meaning of it, because this really is the formula for all our problems, our situation, our challenges, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think knowing the meaning of each of these words will really put a lot of importance and stress of being in the moment, because we are talking about this omnipresent Lord of ours. Sai Om, Sai Om, Sai Om.
Sai Om, Sai Om, Sai Om.
तन मन प्राण में साइयो,
तन मन प्राण में साइयो,
साइयो साइयो साइयो,
साइयो साइयो साइयो।
शयन सपन में साइयो,
शयन सपन में साइयो,
गगन पवन में साइयो,
गगन पवन में साइयो,
शयन सपन में साइयो,
शयन सपन में साइयो,
नयन नयन में साइयो,
नयन नयन में साइयो,
जन्म मरण में साइयो,
जन्म मरण में साइयो,
जन्म मरण में साइयो,
जन्म मरण में साइयो, साइयो साइयो साइयो।
Live, live, live in perfect accordance with my laws, and wonders will ensue. Let old memories well up in you, old patterns, old forgotten feelings and thoughts. Plunge them into the ocean of light now. Burn them from the consciousness so that you may be the true emblems of my being. As Swami's divine words continue to echo in our hearts, we bring today's session to a close. First and foremost, I offer my deepest gratitude to Swami, whose divine grace and guidance have made this session possible. It is through his blessings that we could come together today, share insights, and experience the unity of inspiration. A sincere thank you to our esteemed speakers, Shri S. Ravi Kumar and Shri Amey Deshpande, for sharing their valuable insights, and to our moderator, Shri Vikas Bagri, for guiding such a thoughtful and enriching discussion. Also, last but not the least, a heartful thank you to everyone who joined us today. Your presence and participation added so much value to the study circle. We really thank you from the bottom of our heart. We warmly invite you to be a part of our next session of Life is a Challenge, Beat It, on the 23rd of April. So let us now conclude this session with the Shanti Mantra. Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu, Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu, Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Jai Sai Ram.
ప్రేమ స్వరూపులారా, ది బెస్ట్ వే టు లవ్ గాడ్ ఈజ్ టు లవ్ ఆల్, సర్వ్ ఆల్. మనం అందరినీ ప్రేమించాలి, అందరినీ సేవించాలి. మనం సేవించడం కోసమని పుట్టాము. ఈ సర్వీసులో మనం ప్రయాణమైనప్పుడే మానవత్వం అనేటువంటిది సార్థకమవుతుంది.
Shut